Well, ladies and gentlemen, the second round of the Coleslaw Cup looks to be a hot one as the tour heads to the Marina Bay Street circuit here in Singapore. 23 corners make up this 5-kilometer circuit with 14 to the left and then 9 to the right. Two DRS zones here make for the best opportunities of overtaking with the average top speed of just over 107 miles an hour, the average speed of the circuit. I tell you what, looking to be a fun one here tonight in Singapore. Last week's race in Australia did prove to be a very, very entertaining one. Of course, when the safety car wasn't out, we're hoping for a much cleaner race today. Singapore in this game, another one of the tracks that feels unbelievably different to me, at least. It feels like now you're actually able to... It's a lot like Australia in the fact that it's quite a flatter type track, and you're able to kind of flick the car around some of these corners rather than the car be completely on rails like it was last year. I think it's a lot more fun as well. Said that same thing about Australia last week. I think I also said that. What did I say that about? But anyways, it seems a lot more fun. No threat of rain whatsoever. Beautiful day. Beautiful night here in Singapore for our Grand Prix. Again, we are using, in the Coleslaw Cup, we are using real-life weather forecasts, and this weekend look to be perfectly clear, so that's what we're going with. Should be a very entertaining Grand Prix. And it looks like down the line, it looks like it perhaps is an Alpine coming out first. That was perhaps a good guess. No, it's an Alfa Romeo is coming out first. I believe it's it's going to be Chevy Freak. Chevy Freak first out on track. He's on the soft tires. Of course, once again, being on, obviously the soft tires does not matter anymore, considering that tire rule no longer in effect. So you can qualify on as many sets of soft as you want, call it good, put in a good lap. I mean, really, I gotta say though, I'm not quite sure I appreciate that, because in previous seasons we'd see so much more playing around with tire strategies with that tire rule in place. So it's a lot more fun to see how things would turn out, and we don't have that anymore. But you know, if it helps racing, I'm not going to complain. A good flume of cars coming out of the pits now. Pretty much, it looks like the majority of the field is going to be on track. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 out on track currently, with more to be out surely very soon. I believe we do have, that is Aston Martin heading out. That's Tim Rowland on track. He's in quite a bit of traffic here. Now, despite this being a decently large track, there's definitely the ability to get caught up in traffic, and you're really hoping that for the sake of a qualifying session that we don't really get caught up in that much, but very, very possible. And what's even worse is there's not much room to actually get off the racing line and get out of the way for somebody who is on a timed lap. So definitely looking at a situation where if you have to time when you take these laps very well, and if you don't, you could be caught out. As Ray Lobo making his way around the circuit. Gee, that Williams livery looks beautiful under the night sky, doesn't it? As he makes his way under the seats now. Through turn, what is this here? This is 20, 21, and then eventually coming to 22 and 23 up here. Let's go along with him for the lap. Oh, we're getting a yellow flag somewhere. Don't think it matters. All right. Lap of champions now, Ray Lobo on the way into the first corner. Want to hit 8th gear. Take it down to 4th going through this first corner. Definitely try to take as much of the curve as you can on the inside. Back down to 2nd through turn 3. I will say the curbs are much harder to take in this game, especially on this circuit through here from 7th down to 4th. Try to hit the apex a lot better than he just did then. That was a little bit slow from him. Into the DRS you go. Definitely want to set this one up nicely for your next trip into turn 7 here from 8th down into 2nd or 3rd. It looks like Ray Lobo's going to choose 3rd here. Maybe has carried a little bit more speed up to 6th, down to 2nd through turn 8. Back up into about maybe 4th or 5th and down back to 3rd or 2nd as you exit the corner. Now this one here, you've got to really get as close as you can to that orange little barrier there and cut as much of the corner as you can. That will save you a lot of time. Ray Lobo has failed to do that as he makes his way now through 10, 11, and 12. At least it's nicely that you don't get that much oversteer going across the bridge anymore in this game, which I like. From 6th gear down to 2nd through the hairpin of turn 13, and then back into DRS you go. And now heading down this straight, this is where obviously straight line speed does not matter all that much on this track, but it will matter there. Through now turn 14, good exit there. Be careful of that white line. That is track limits, that white line is. Be very careful of that. 15 and 16 here. Really tricky series of corners. I always like to take it in third. Drivers will go slower than that. Under the seats they go. Up into third momentarily or almost there. Then flick the car around through second underneath that. Come back around through 20 and 21. Hold it nicely against the wall. Careful at exit. Now take this corner. I wouldn't recommend downshifting. As he's just done, you carry a lot more speed just holding it in sixth than you do going down to fifth. It's a 142.9. And already Chevy Freak. And then Scornsy goes 136.9. Yeah, that's put an absolute 5-second gap between these guys. I think I was perhaps watching the wrong set of cars just then. But, he's invalidated then, and he will be coming back to the pit. So, Nicky 64, we got a car. Wow, okay, didn't quite expect that. That's the Ferrari of KB007. We'll just call him KB. Did a little bit of a spin there, and he's gone off. Majacco making his way around the circuit now. Let's see. Now this is what I want to see here. This is a really crucial line that he can take here. Let's see if he gets it. No, he's actually gone wide again. You know, it's a bit interesting. I think Majacco would get a little bit more creative with that. Maybe not. Maybe that was just a last game thing. Maybe that's not the meta anymore. I don't know. I will be quite frank with you. I have not played this game legitimately driving in it as much as the last couple games. Obviously, I'm not racing anymore, so it's a bit tricky and it's a bit pointless, but I'll tell you what, I still do enough time in the time trials to know what works and what doesn't, and so far, it really looks to only be Scornsy and Dace that have, and Jacko as well, that only have even somewhat competitive laps. It looks like the rest of the field really is at a huge disadvantage over the top three right now. And mind you, Jacko is another 7/10 back of Dace. Not only is he a second and a half back to the leader, he's over a half a second back at Dace, and then he clears him by 1/100th of a second, goes into second place. Suddenly, at the top of the leaderboards, it's getting a little bit more crowded then. 1/100th of a second separating Jacko and Dace. Next up, the Aston Martin on his way into the pits, I believe. Dusty Lusky, nope, not him. Actually, KD35, this is, and just as I caught up with him, actually going into the pits then, and disqualified from the session for blocking the pit lane. Undeserved, I'd say. He kind of spun out going through said pit lane, and unfortunately, the game told him, no, don't do that. And, well, what would have been a yellow flag or some sort of virtual safety car in real life has turned into a disqualification for KD35. I'd say unfortunate and unjust as well. Chevy making his way through the final sector. 2.5 seconds slower. We'll have to assume he's going to be coming in, and he does. Next up behind him, the Alpine. Unholy Red Eye's gone off in that same spot that KD35 has. Don't beat it on the curbs. That's a real thing in this game nowadays. That's the about third or fourth driver we've seen had difficulties getting into the pit lane. Next up, and we'll have to see if this lap is competitive or not. Not quite sure, as it looks like A-Dub has gone and left the session for some reason. Again, yet to make a timed lap attempt, making his way under the stadium seats now. Through turns 21, 22, 20 and 21, and then eventually 22 and 23. Through the final corner now, heavy over the initial curb, holds it nicely on exits, and he does put himself second. Now, that has taken off 3/10 over his previous best time. Very nicely done then. Meanwhile, Scornsy on his time lap. Let's go along with him and see if he can better what is already a pretty, I'd say, flawless lap. Making his way through the first couple corners now. Going to be coming up to the DRS here momentarily. Look at him, and it's just absolutely butter smooth through that first section of track. Into the DRS now. I tell you what, if you're a driver, take notes. I mean, it's... maybe he's taking it a little deep through that corner. That one being turn 8 into 9 now. Holds it nicely. Let's see if he uses that kind of esports line. The time has expired in the session, and he does. Look how much more of that turn 10 curb he's cutting. To the bridge now. Majacco can only manage third. Coleslaw can only manage fourth. Ray, Chevy Freak. Actually, that looks like Knuckles has just gone 7. To the line now goes Scornsy. About a second and a half, a tenth and a half better. Amazing how he can still manage to find another tenth and a half. What looks to be an unbelievable lap to me. He's actually just bettered even further. Under the stadium seats now. 19 and 20. Let's see what he's got. He looks to be on pace to beat that attempt that's already rocked the timing leaderboards here. Heavy over the curb. Oh, and he's invalidated. Just barely invalidates over that last section then. Just took a slight bit too much. And that was all she wrote. Dusty Lusky to the line now. He goes 5th. 7, almost 8 tenths better than his previous attempt. Nicky 64 on his way in. Looks like Unholy Red Eye to the line now. He's currently P10. Let's see what he's got. And he goes up to 7. 2.5 seconds now back. 7 tenths better than his previous attempt. And it looks like Scornsy and Dace have locked out the front row here. Scornsy, pole position by over 7 tenths of a second. Absolutely wild stuff then. And the Haas, frankly, looks to be unbeatable going into the race. So your results for qualifying then, Scornsy on pole by 7 tenths. Dace in second, Majako third, the only two really within striking distance of the Haas. Ray fourth, Dusty Lusky fifth, Jiraiya sixth, Red Eye seventh, Knuckles eighth, Smith Pell ninth, 10th is Nicky 64, 11th Tweezer, 12th is Ray 46, 13th is Chevy Freak, 14th Tim Rowland, 15th Ray Lobo, 16th KB, 17th A-Dub, and then rounding out the field P18, who was unfortunately disqualified from the session, is KD35. Well, it looks like everyone aside from the top 3 is very close to each other. I will say everyone, this is going to be an interesting one. That's all I can say. So while we have a second here, let's talk about tire strategy going into the Grand Prix. It looks like the idea is you're going to be starting on the mediums and perhaps going to the hards if you want a one-stop. Very, very true. It looks like, though, if you do start on the softs, that pretty much guarantees a 2-stop. Unless, of course, I mean, the softs can last between 7 to 9 laps. So if an early safety car happens, you might see a few takers. Not entirely sure. Remember, I believe safety car is going to be off due to the audio glitches, so we do have 10 seconds before the lights turn on and then extinguish themselves here in the Marina Bay Street Circuit. I've been looking forward to this race, and it's almost underway. Scornsy, clearly on pole. How much of an advantage does he have going into the first corner? The lights are turning on. We have 4, then 5, and they're off, and it looks like Scornsy and Dace got away pretty evenly then. It looks like, oh, and a Williams has gone off behind. Already carnage towards the back, and that's Tweezer. And I believe his teammate of Ray Lobo has also gone off. As it looks like as they snake their way through the first couple of corners, Scornsy's gotten away really well, so is Dace, and it looks like towards the back a little bit more shuffling about. It looks like the Mercedes of, that's KD35 and Nicky 64 switching positions then. Many drivers throughout the rear end of the field here, swapping positions, doing everything they can to jostle about. KB and A-Dub battling for spots then. I believe A-Dub's actually gone ghosted. Yes, he has. It looks like down to the inside goes Nicky 64 on the Mercedes. Can he make the move stick? And he doesn't. I think at the end of it, he kind of had to back out of that. Almost then into the back of the Mercedes. That's going to let the Ferrari go to the inside, and he's been spun around by the Aston Martin. Yellow flags, and it looks like KD35. He's just gotten into Smith Pell, and another. That makes an Alpine that's gone off. Yellow flags now throughout Sector 2. Multiple cars have gone off. And it looks like for now, good God, so much happening on that initial lap. KD35, can he find his way around the outside of Nicky 64? He's actually going to switch back to the inside now. Nicky's gotten really loose then. He's hit the wall. As far as tire goes, a lot of drivers have chosen to start on the hard tires. That I didn't quite expect at the beginning of the race. I would think you go for the mediums off the grid, but that doesn't look to be the case. And it looks now, the field starting to kind of calm themselves down. Looks like the Alfa Romeo Chevy Freak's actually gone a little bit off then. Scornsy with the fastest lap towards the back. The Red Bull of Nicky 64, he has gone around and has almost parked it underneath the bridge. And Smith Pell needing to take evasive action then. Majacco trying to find his way back to Dace. Meanwhile, Dace slipping away from Scornsy, already nearly a 2-second gap. As we look a little bit further back, Chevy Freak, can he find his way around the Haas of Knuckles? It looks like eventually he may be able to, as they make their way down towards Sector 2 now. Oh, and it looks like Ray Lobo's gone off again. Maybe some contact with the Ferrari in front of him. I'm not quite sure what's happened then, but he's gone around. Speaking of Ferrari, KB, can he find his way around Tweezer? He's going to make his way towards the outside. Mediums on hards. Let's see what he's got. Goes deep through the corner. Doesn't have anything just yet. Can he force Tweezer in a mistake here? I tell you what, his internet connection doesn't quite look to be the best, but that's okay. Up the field a little bit more. Unholy Red Eye within 0.5 of a second on Ray Ray in front of him as they head their way over the bridge. Ray Ray has completely smacked the wall going through that series of corners then, going over the bridge, and that one has not helped him whatsoever. Majacco looks to be very stagnant in that 0.7 of a second gap range then. Back to Dace. We have a car gone off again, and Ray Lobo has retired from the session. Oh, yes, he has. He's crashed going over the bridge, and the safety car is coming out. Very action-packed few laps then at the beginning of the Singapore Grand Prix. So, safety car on its way out then. Let's see who decides to come in and make a stop. Perhaps for wing changes or something, and it doesn't look like anybody is. I feel like, yeah, it's probably just way too early for that. Ray Lobo really binned it going over the bridge then. I think maybe he got too close to the wall and spun it round, hit the wall in some place because one of his tires is no longer there. And the safety car leads the grid round the Marina Bay Circuit. Oh, what's this happening here? It looks like that's Smith Pell on his way in. And now, temporarily, I'll step aside and let the safety car sort itself out. So the safety car on its way in now. Ray Lobo has left the session as of just now. Scornsy making his way through the final few corners of the track here. We have completed 5 laps. I believe at least 3 or 4 of which have been behind the safety car. So, does Dace find a way to make his way around Scornsy? Scornsy's had the field all to himself all race so far and all throughout qualifying. Does the luck switch now? Does Majacco get a jump on either of the drivers? Look at Scornsy try to back up the field, get the jump on Dace, and there it goes. The green flag is going to eventually be back in the air. I tell you what, Dace did not get a good start then. Scornsy rather didn't get a good start. Can Majacco find his way into the first corner? Yellow flag towards the back, the Ferrari of KB off track. It looks like battle for the top 3 here. It looks as if Jacko has made his way down the... Oh, good God! And this AlphaTauri has crashed right in front of Jacko. Man, oh man, and that was just so unfortunate then, and that has and somehow he just seems absolutely unfazed by it, but good God. The AlphaTauri of Dace had gone clean around then. Right into the path of Jacko, and that just looked absolutely incredibly dangerous. And somehow Jacko's come out of it okay. I'm not quite sure what's happened. Dusty Lusky has made his way up to 3rd then in all that chaos. Shariah up to 4th. But this time, crucially, Scornsy has not yet pulled away from the field like he has previously. It looks now Majacco might be able to contend, or at least stay within DRS range for the time being. Already the gap over 0.9 of a second. This, I gotta say, if you're the Ferrari, is not good. Last thing you want is Scornsy with clean track ahead of you, and the last thing you want even further than that is not to be able to contest him. And so far it looks like that may be the case. Looks like a little bit further back, Ray within 0.3 on Unholy Red Eye, then KD within 0.2 on Chevy Freak then, looking to get around the Alfa Romeo here somehow. Of course, it is Singapore. There's almost no way you could do it legitimately without the help of DRS. It's going to be very tough if you do, and very interesting, so we'll keep along with him for now. 0.3 of a second the gap. Can KD find a move around Chevy Freak? Mind you, KD had the qualifying session in which he was disqualified for some reason, for what the game said was blocking the pit entry, which wasn't exactly true, as remember he had crashed, spun it round, and then I think he may have even gotten beached on the curbs. And the game chose violence on that one and decided to disqualify him. Well, anyways, he's up 9 positions, up to 9th. Oh, and speaking of which, somehow he's held the car together then, and he drops back down to 10th. That was almost terrible then for the Mercedes, who has gotten oversteer on exit of that third corner and has almost binned it entirely. Ray 46 down to the inside of Chevy Freak as they make their way down into turn, oh God, what is this, turn 7. Side by side then. Alfa Romeo on Aston Martin. Contact being made, wheel-to-wheel racing this is. Even more potentially. That makes KD. He wants to join into this mix as well. It's a 3-car battle for the 8th spot. This could get dangerous here. It looks like, oh, is KD going to go for both of them as he heads down towards turn 10? It's 3 wide. And it looks like finally Alfa Romeo backs out of position then. KD's going to go for it anyways. And then he does get past the Aston Martin. Beautiful racecraft from KD35. He puts himself back up to 8th after his previous mistake. What a move then. He ought to be proud of that one. But the battle with him is not over yet. He now has to find 3 seconds to get to Knuckles. Oh, and it looks like A-Dub and Tim Rowland battling it out here. Remind you, the robot of A-Dub. Looks like Tweezer and Nikki 64 with it in close quarters here. Chevy Freak trying to find his way around Ray 46. Scornsy, fastest lap, 1:42.1. Already the gap from first to second, 2.5 seconds. Jiraiya Coleslaw, however, looks to be about to make a charge for the podium places here. He's within DRS, within 0.8 of a second, and he's darn close then to Dusty. Looking to get ever closer. DRS is going to be in his favor this time by as he exits turn 4. We do have a car off towards the back, it looks like. Oh, someone's gone off then. It is Knuckles. What has happened with Knuckles? And then KB has gone and retired in the pits, but something has happened then with the Haas of Knuckles as he has dropped significantly far back. Looks like unholy red-eyed Shariah. Still within 0.6 of a second on Dusty. The race for the podium spots. Looks like Ray 46, he's within 0.4 on KD. Still that yellow flag as for some reason the robot of KB looks to exit the pits. Shariah within 0.3 now on Dusty as they exit turn 13. Into the DRS they go. Let's see if anyone can find a move to be made here. The Alpine looking to the back of the Mercedes, but nothing is there for the time being. Neither is that for the McLaren trying to get around the Alfa Romeo. Is perhaps Ray 46 going to be able to try something on the Mercedes of KD, and he's not. Ray 46 really close to KD then. KD, mind you, I believe is also on the hard tires. Looking to the inside now. Can he find the move? Wheel to wheel, and he puts KD in the wall. KD's going to switch back down to the inside. Just the ever so slightest amount of contact then has resulted in the Mercedes smacking the wall as they go down the DRS section. Oh, a little bit further up, can the McLaren find a run, but can Dace find a move on the Alfa Romeo here? He's going to have DRS, and he's already off to a better start to the lap than the Alfa Romeo in front of him. He's going to look down to the left side, and I believe that move is going to be, I wouldn't say easily made, it's still side by side then. And then finally, the AlphaTauri decides to make a move, and then KD35, 3 seconds for multiple warnings. And that is this battle as well. KD35 next up in line then for the AlphaTauri of Dace. KD35 made a beautiful double overtake, and then accidentally not got put in the wall by Ray, going through the DRS section of turns 5 to 7. Exiting turn 13 now. Can Dace find a move around the Mercedes? He's not gotten the best exit to 13 then, and he's ran out of real estate rather quickly. Really then looking to the back of the gearbox of the Mercedes. Can he still find something to make the move happen? Meanwhile, up ahead, Shariah Coleslaw has kept this battle for the third spot within 0.5 of a second. Now Dusty slipping back of Jacko. Jacko slipping even further back of Scornsy. That gap now up to 7.3 seconds nearly. Scornsy has such a huge stranglehold on the grid right now, as it looks like in comes KD on his way into the pits. Does he have wing damage, or is this strategical? I'm not quite sure, but then he picks up 5 seconds for speeding into the pit lane. Medium's coming out. It was an unplanned stop, and then he retires. Unfortunate for him. Once again, Dace, 0.4 of a second, back to Ray 46. I would assume the overtake will be happening this time by really within that slipstream. Oh! And Dace has spun it round, and the front wing is gone. Oh, and Dace was doing so good, was right there. And unfortunate for him, it has ended in catastrophe for the AlphaTauri team, really. Puzzles me sometimes. Oh, Unholy Red Eye's gotten a big wiggle then. That has really opened the door for the McLaren here. The McLaren of Ray Ray looking down low. Can he find the move into turn 1? And he does. Rather unconventional place to try to find that maneuver, but he does make it happen. That was nice. Nicely done then from the McLaren. Makes that one and makes it stick. Shariah Coleslaw now within 0.4 on Dusty. But, yet again, it looks like Shariah was unable to get proper traction coming out of turn number 5. And he's unable to overtake the Mercedes yet again. 0.3 of a second, however, it's not over yet. Wing change then for Dace. He's back in 14. Unholy Red Eye, he's within about 0.6 on Ray Ray here. I would assume the hards are starting to be a little bit faster than that of the mediums. Remember, the hards can last you about over 25 laps. So if you started on the hards, you may be off to somewhat of an advantage here. It's starting to look now like the hards may be starting to become the faster tire. Shariah Coleslaw still trying to find a way to get past Dusty. This battle for this third spot has been happening for the better part of, or at least 8 laps now, I'd say, ever since the safety car came in. So, the undercut for Dusty Lufsky did not work. Shariah Coleslaw, in the end, was able to take that spot. Oh, but Shariah's gone way wide then, and now the battle is heating up just again, side by side. Going down the DRS section now, even Stevens on pace, but it looks like with the DRS, Dusty Lufsky is going to be able to get out ahead of the Alpine. I tell you what, I think it was just a case of the tires needing to get up to temperature then for the Alpine, and unfortunately, the undercut did eventually pay off then for Dusty. It took a minute, it took some convincing, but it did work. Right, anyways, Knuckles within 0.3 on Chevy Freaking Out. Can he find the inside into turn 10? That's a bold spot to overtake. And it looks like, oh, something's happened back there. Nikki64 has had a bit of an off. We had to cut away from the action then temporarily. But it looks like all has resolved itself. Scornsy now on his way in. I don't necessarily think he's going to be facing any difficulty on the way out of the pits. However, interesting to see. He's obviously going to be overtaken by Jacko here. Jacko staying out another lap. Oh, Tim Rowland's gone up again. That front wing, I mean, no offense to Tim Rowland, this is about the 3rd time we've seen him kind of have an off like this. That front wing must be absolutely indestructible then. Shariah Coleslaw, 0.3 then. Majako trying to find his way around the left side of Unholy Red Eye down towards turn 10. Bold place to make the move happen, but he does. Nicely done then from the Ferrari driver, and he's making his way back towards Ray. DRS will most likely be in play with this. Majako on fresh hards as well. Naturally going to be faster. Oh, and Tim Rowland's had a bit of an off then. El Majako then getting around Ray 46, but Ray going back. Interesting this. Oh, and Jacko into the wall. What has happened there? Jacko went around that of Ray and then let off and then let Ray have the spot and then retook it again and then got put in the wall and is now back to 3rd. Interesting this. Still looking at the gearbox of Ray here. Looking to make that move, I'm assuming, into turn 1. Barring any sort of catastrophe. Does Ray decide to come in? No, he doesn't. Ray has, I'd like to say, no business still being on track. but he's still going for it as Nicky 64 unfortunately retires from the session. Ray 46 down to the inside, has lost a spot. It looks like Unholy Red Eye on his way in finally. 21 laps on the medium tires. DRS open then for everybody again, minus Dusty. Dusty doesn't look as if he's touched his battery in about 2 or 3 laps now. Oh! Shariah's gone sideways! Runs into Ray Ray! Shariah lost it! Going through turn 3 on the curb! And Ray Ray runs right into him, and then again! And Shariah's gone around! I think Ray Ray went clean into the back of him, and Shariah down to P6. Oh, the drama unfolding. Ray Ray had nowhere to go as the Alpine span around in front of him and then clean into the back of said Alpine. And then Ray Ray goes around and somehow doesn't DNF through that contact. He's got no front wing to lose, I'll give it that. And I tell you what, the stewards, we're going to have themselves a field day with this one. 0.3 of a second now, under. Can Red Eye find a move? No, and he spun around! And Unholy Red Eye! DNF! Does the safety car come out? And it does! Safety car on its way out! It's gonna be a mad dash to the end! As the safety car comes out and Scornsy is already past the pit lane. Dace, drive-through penalty, speeding under the safety car. Safety car on track. And now Scornsy, I'd hate to say it, assuming Jacko comes in for the sauce, he will be in quite the disadvantage. Everything suddenly has changed. The complete landscape of this race has changed in the blink of an eye. And now Scornsy, who looked to be so dominant, may just be at a disadvantage. Jacko is coming into the pits now. We're assuming he's putting on the softs. Mind you, however, 50 seconds the gap. Scornsy may be able to pit and get away with it, you never know. As the safety car and Scornsy makes its way through turn 10 now. Does Jacko have enough to get back to it? Dusty Lusky on his way in. Dace on his way in. Shariah, I would assume he's on his way in. So is Smith Pell. Ray, I would think eventually will be on his way in as well. And no, Ray stays out. Boldness, that's going to move Ray up to 3rd. How old are those tires on Ray's car? 5 laps. I tell you what, they'll be probably okay under the safety car, but still. Look at Jacko furiously driving back, trying to get as close as he can to Scornsy to make this interesting. So Scornsy perhaps loses position or something. The safety car now heading down into turns 16, 17, eventually into 18, 19, and 20. Look how slow the safety car is going. Does Scornsy come in here? I think he's going to have to, really. He doesn't have much of a choice. Does he go for it? And he does. Scornsy on his way in to put on what will be the soft tires. Does Jacko have enough to maybe, perhaps, get up to him here? And I think even he has realized at this point he doesn't. And now he is conserving the tires. He's probably put about 3% on those softs. And any advantage he was looking to race to, he's lost it. I'm assuming the safety car will be in at the tail end of this lap. It's going to have to be. There's no way we get 1 lap of racing and that's it. I don't believe Codemasters and EA has implemented the feature where the safety car stays out to the end of the race. That'd be quite neat if they did. I'm sure Lewis Hamilton will enjoy that feature if he does. However, safety car in this lap. It's Jacko on Scornsy for 2 laps to declare a winner of the Singapore Grand Prix. Ray 46, a bit far behind. Ray 3 seconds for multiple warnings. one-on-one, mano-a-mano, for what will be the win of the Grand Prix. Jacko has to be gutsy here. Ray 46 has to be faster to catch up if he wants any shot at the win, as the safety car making its way in. Man, oh man, this is a little bit more exciting than I figured it would be. One-on-one, the shootout to determine the win, as the safety car comes in. Ray 46 too far behind to make anything happen. Green flag in the air, and look at this! Jacko's gotten a much better start! Side by side going towards turn one. Scornsy goes way wide, and Jacko takes the lead in the Grand Prix. Both drivers going off track. Scornsy back down to the inside. Nothing there. Contact made, and Jacko takes the lead in the Grand Prix. Unbelievable. With a lap and a half to go, it suddenly seems like Scornsy, the race that surely he was destined to win. At one point, he had over a 40-second lead. To the safety car, he had over a minute. And now it seems like it's all crumbling down, and Jacko is going to run away scot-free with this one. Yellow flag. Ray's gone off. He's DNF'd in the pits. Scornsy, by God, deserves this win. Jacko's going to make it extra difficult for him, though. No DRS. There won't be until the end of the race, I don't think. 0.3 of a second or less. Purple sector 2 then from Scornsy. Both drivers on fresh softs. Really the battle of the ages here. Dusty Lusky will check in with him for a moment, within 0.2 on Ray 46, that being for the third spot. 0.2 of a second now. Going to be starting the final lap of the Grand Prix here soon. Scornsy still keeping it to the gearbox of the Ferrari ahead of him as they start the final lap of the Grand Prix. Scornsy heavy over the final curb then. Picks up a warning, I'm sure, but does not get a penalty. Final lap. Heading into turn one, Jacko has the advantage. Scornsy doing everything he can. Jacko doing a good job defending the position. No DRS. Scornsy has to save his battery. They're on even Stevens as far as battery goes. Out of turn 5. Does Jacko have any sort of defense here? Does Scornsy have any sort of maneuver to be made? Down the straight they go. And it looks like Jacko may just be taking it here. That was probably the best opportunity for overtaking in the whole circuit, and Jacko has kept the spot. Jacko leading the race, Scornsy right behind as they make their way now through turn 9. Down this mini straight here towards turn 10. Can either of them find a move to be made? Scornsy wants the left rear tire. He's still looking for it. Going towards the bridge now. 1v1 for the win. The battle of the ages. Teammates in Midwest, rivals in Coleslaw. Exiting turn 13. Is Scornsy close enough to make the move? Jacko down to his last grips on the battery. Even harder for Scornsy. He now has to make a move in a very unconventional place if he wants the win. Dusty Lusky has taken third from Ray. Towards the stadium section now. Scornsy has to be gutsy here. And it looks like Jacko may just run away with this one scot-free. Through the final, this is turn 21 now. Does Scornsy have it? And Scornsy spins! And Jacko's gonna take the win. What have we just witnessed? Scornsy without a front wing. By God, he gave it everything he could. And he finished second on a race that he probably should have won. Dusty Lusky comes home third. Ray 46 fourth. Shariah 5th after the day he's had. Smith Pellin 6th. Knuckle 7th. And Tweezer in 8th. Well, I can tell you confidently I am in utter disbelief as what we've just witnessed. El Majaco, somehow, some way, taking the win. Scornsy, after everything he could do, after everything he did, finishes second, Dusty Lusky third, Ray 46 fourth, Shariah fifth, Smith Pell sixth, Knuckle seventh, eighth is Tweezer, ninth is Dace, 10th is Tim Rowland, and I believe 11th is Ray Ray, and that will round out the drivers who actually finished the Grand Prix. And I think next week we go to Abu Dhabi. I don't even know what to say. Thank you for joining us with the Coleslaw Cup. We'll see you next week. Good God Almighty. I'm in shock, I really.